Breaking news, the domestic assault by strangulation charge against Nebraska's former interim head football coach, Mickey Joseph, has been dismissed.
During Joseph's preliminary hearing this morning, Judge Lori Yardley dismissed the charge after the prosecutor said they received an email from the victim stating that she would not testify.
Court documents show an out-of-state subpoena was issued to contact the victim. There were a number of attempts to reach the victim, but without success.